Hello, welcome to my podcast. This is Landyn Banx, the one and only.
Hello.
I'm Elliott Graber, and we are here at Graber Productions LLC. And today we are interviewing the one and only Landyn Banx, and we are excited about his new Christmas album coming out this 2020. So Landyn, tell me about yourself. We want to hear about the man behind the mastery.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for that lovely introduction. I hope I can live up to that.
Well, of course you can, yeah.
Landyn Banx, I love acting and songwriting and trying to sing and perform and being an entertainer. I feel that is what I was born to do, and if I'm able to bring joy into anyone's life at the end of the day, that means a lot for me. If I can make someone smile by a performance in a film, or laugh by a performance in a film, or if I can move someone to happiness or joy or tears with a song I've done or something, then I just like to move people with what little talent I've been given. So I hope that people are moved in a good way.
I think that they will absolutely be moved and have been moved.
Thank you.
One of the reasons I wanted to work with Landyn is because, well, we've worked together in the past, and also because I believe so much in his talent and what he has to offer. And something that always just surprises me about you as a person, it's like you always come into any room and you just make people feel so welcome and happy.
Oh, thank you.
And your gracious spirit is just always there, no matter what life brings you and what you come in to a project with. It's like you just bring this sort of spirit that makes people feel happy about where they are, and that's why I'm so grateful that you have invited me to be a part of your life and process. So
thank you. I'm honored as well. The pleasure is mine, and thank you for making time for me too.
Of course, anytime. And so Landyn, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started in the arts world, in film, in music, in vocal performance, in what's your process? Where did this inspiration come from, and then also alongside this deep-rooted passion to create Christmas music?
It's interesting. I started doing plays many years ago in elementary school, and I always loved being in front of an audience. And when I was 9 years old, the house I grew up in was featured in a national magazine called Country Home Magazine. And it was on my first day of third grade that my teacher, Mrs. Mooring, had recognized me from being in the magazine, and she came up to me and was like, "Oh my gosh, is this you and your family in your house in this magazine?" I'm like, "Yes, it is." And I was 9 years old, and she's like, "Can you take this home and have everyone autograph it for me? I'd really love that." So when the magazine was also out, it was out on the newsstand. So I remember being at the store as a 9-year-old kid and looking over and pulling the magazine off of the magazine stand and seeing my picture, my house in this magazine. It's like, this is really kind of cool. And that's kind of when I think I was struck by wow, the love of, even though I was just, in the magazine for the house that was, because it was antique and old-fashioned, but it was just something about that and being recognized by my teacher, and it was just something that grabbed my attention. And our home was also featured on a show called The Home Show. I believe it was on ABC, and they did a little segment of me riding my bike, and there was I was 9 years old at the time, so there was this guy. I got home from school and "Hey, do you want to ride your bike down the street?" And there's this guy with this big camera back then, and he had a black net over him, so to keep the light out or whatnot, I think. And I was 9 years old. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I'm like, this is kind of fun. So it was just something that over the years had just kept motivating me. And then one night I was talking with a friend, I just have this passion. I want to be an entertainer and an actor. He's like, I'm like, I don't even know where to get started though. Like I did plays 100 years ago. He's like, well, check on Craigslist. You know, maybe you'll find something on there. So I went home and I checked on Craigslist and I saw an audition. They were looking for actors for a horror film. So I got their email and I emailed them and I'm like, you know, I don't have a lot of acting experience, like 20-some years ago in high school, and I don't have a headshot, and, you know, I don't have any resume or anything. I'd really, really love a chance to be in your film. So they emailed me back. I'm like, sure, we'd love to set up a meeting with you. And we set up a meeting at Caribou Coffee, and I was so, like, naive and stuff, and I'd heard stories before, like, you know, be safe on all these auditions and everything. So I think this is the first time I'm telling this story.
Yeah.
I had a friend go with me, a coworker, to sit at the table behind or across from me to just to make sure that everything seemed legit, that I wasn't going to get Landyn napped or
Right.
anything like that.
Yeah.
So they liked my, you know, it was kind of more just a getting to know me. It wasn't like I stood up in front of the whole Caribou Coffee and did this audition. But they must have liked what they saw because they emailed me back and said I had the part. And then when I filmed the movie, when I knew it was meant to be was when I filmed in an antique store, and the lady in the antique store was friends with, I knew her from my parents, and I grew up doing flea markets with them. So like the night I filmed my very first scene ever in a movie, a feature film, and it was called Tales of the Dead, and she was there. You know, so I'm like, this is like, too many things are adding up. It's not just like a coincidence. I think this was kind of meant to be. So I had went to Macy's earlier that night, and I had makeup plastered all over my face because I didn't know if they were going to have a makeup artist or what. I was so naive, like I didn't know if they provide this or what. So here I come in, like looking fabulous, I thought, and I did that movie, and I'm like, well, if I, it was on my bucket list to at least appear in one film in my whole life, because I just love to say that I was in one movie. And now, almost like 15 years later, it's over like 125 or 150, I lost count, but yeah, it just keeps on growing every year. So people keep having me back, so I'm grateful for that.
Oh, well, Landyn and I got a chance to work together on another Christmas Alone.
Yes.
About even a decade ago, right?
Yes,
Wasn't it? Yeah.
almost,
Yeah,
yes.
and I was so grateful because at that time we were working with like Elliott and Brandon Van Vliet and Restraining Hollywood and the whole scene of the Twin Cities. It was like this kind of this moment in time where all these production companies, all these independent artists were coming together to create beautiful art. And one thing that always struck me about you coming into your world was just that the presence that you brought.
Oh, wow. Thank
And
you.
sort of this almost, if I may say, over the top, and yet just so whimsical and wonderful quality of art that you create.
Oh, thank you.
You know, it's interesting now working with you on this new record, which you should check out come 2020 here, winter, Christmas, December.
Yes.
And also have been working with you back then, and just that's why when you contacted me, I was like, oh, this is a great moment to actually get to work with you again. And so you always bring the full spectrum of things. Like you bring everything from down here to up here. Like your range is incredible.
Thank you.
In storytelling, if
Thank
I may,
you.
you know. So tell me a little bit about like what inspired you to first of all create Christmas music for people, and you know, what is it that still inspires you to keep continuing to create Christmas music for the audience today?
I think I wanted to find a niche, and I've always loved artists that have, you know, put out a Christmas album. My favorite singer, Amy Grant, has released many of them, and they kind of call her like the queen of Christmas music. And I'd like to be the king of Christmas music. No.
Hey, why not? You know?
No, just kidding. But it's just something that kind of caught on. I started writing a song. I didn't know I was going to set out to do a full-length Christmas album. I wrote an original song after my grandma passed in September 2010 called The Only Thing Missing This Christmas Is You. And I intended to just record that song with my connections and give that as a gift to my family for Christmas to remember my grandma Lois's legacy. And then I also wrote another original song called Another Christmas Alone, which I'll never live that down, but that's okay. I love it.
In the best way.
Yes.
I think it's the catch. In my opinion, it's your hook. It's
yes,
yeah.
Thank you. It hooks your teeth, and it's an earworm song. Once you see the video and hear the song, you can't get it out of your head.
I wasn't in that video. No. I still, to this day, I have family members, is that you in the scarf? With the Where's Waldo scarf?
That's what it was. Where's Waldo?
It was look for the Where's Waldo scarf. You'll find lots of hidden gems there.
Oh yes, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So I talked with Mr. Elliott Graber, who composed all the music for it, and I thought maybe we'll do an EP, a handful of songs, and it just turned out to be a full-length Christmas CD with 14 songs. And over the years, I've gone back into the studio and released a few singles in the last decade, and then I thought, well, it's the 10-year anniversary of my Christmas CD called Christmas, and what better way to celebrate that than to go in and remaster some of the tracks and record a new original song I wrote, and record another classic Christmas carol, and just to add a few remixes and some bonus features and interviews and music videos, and thought it'd just be fun to celebrate the 10-year anniversary that this thing is still going on, which I never thought it was. I plan to do a 20th too.
I'm so
and a 30th if I'm still around. So
first of all, I'm so glad that you have continued the Christmas spirit, because I know when I got your first Christmas album, after we had worked on the music video and after you had produced that with Elliott Graber at Graber Pictures, I was so, to be honest with you, I kind of, it's the gift that keeps giving.
Oh, yeah.
I gave every member of my family a Christmas album from you, from your CD. And even today, when I go home, I go to my mom's, CD collection. Oh, Landyn Banx, we got to put that in. Every Christmas, I'm just like, yeah, you guys have got to experience Landyn Banx Christmas. It's just an amazing album.
Thank you so much.
And it's cool that we also got a chance to work with Elliott Graber,
yes.
In our professions, and so with your career. And moving forward and presently, what are you thinking that you would like to give to the listeners, to the audience? What's your message in the midst of your Christmas spirit?
My message is just to bring some upbeat joy to the holiday season, and some of the songs are very upbeat and techno-y, and they kind of make you want to put on your dance shoes, which not a lot of times do Christmas CDs or music on it. Some do, but I kind of wanted to do it very techno-y to fit with my vocal technique and the range I have, and I thought that kind of a techno-electronic would be the way to go about with that. And then there's also some songs I like to call the Lullaby Songs that are very heartfelt and very emotional, that may, some of them can even make you cry, people have told me. So I kind of wanted it to run the gamut of emotions on the musical roller coaster ride, if you will. You might want to dance and sing and jump for joy and listen to one song, and the next song kind of brings you down and kind of soothes you down, lets you catch your breath, and then here we go again, up again, and then so.
Yeah. And that's, for me at least, as a listener, that's one of the things that I connect with. It's you have such a human element about you. It's you have a way of connecting with people in a very intimate way. In your honesty and in the way you deliver, not only vocally, technically, but also intimately, emotionally. I think that's one of your wonderful gifts, and
Thank
you never let anything, deter you from that. So
Thank you. I want to make sure that I myself am moved when writing an original lyric to a song and something that I have previously experienced to help make it resonate more with the listener. And then I want to, choose music with that, and my composers who do that for me so wonderfully to put the whole package together and just give someone an experience, and hopefully they'll be able to create some Christmas memories of their own with some of the music. So
that's so cool.
thank you.
Well, Landyn, is there anything else you'd like to say about your hopes for the future, or what you'd like to see going forward with your?
I would just like to say to all the listeners out there, thank you for listening, and I hope this has brought some joy into your lives. And to all of the wonderful people who have appeared on the album and contributed, to Elliott Graber, to Donnie West and H.T. Altman and Shannon McDonough, Jennifer Cha and Jennifer Prettyman, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for making this Christmas dream come true. And I think if we can all keep the spirit of giving and of Christmas alive in our hearts all year round, it would help to make the world just a little bit better place, which would be good for all of us in the end.
I think so. We all just want a chance to make the world a little bit better, don't we?
Oh yes, we can put a smile on someone's face through a song, which I've had some people listen to them and they, play it when they see me. I've walked into rooms before and they'll start singing them like Another Christmas Alone, and some people they'll be dancing to Jingle Bells when I see them. They always want to play it, and I'm like, so it's fun to do a take, my take on a classic Christmas song, and have people really, really like that and enjoy it. It gives me just as much joy seeing someone enjoy it as it probably does them enjoy it. So, I don't know who gets the better deal here.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. Well, I think they're playing your music in the background now that I hear it.
Is that Christmas?
I think that might be your Christmas album.
So
So check it out this year, Christmas 2020, Landyn Banx and his new original music coming out to you, and also some classic Christmas tunes. Thank you, Landyn, so much. I'm going to bump you.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for listening.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Cheers.
Cheers.